I loved it. I woke up slowly. That was my first coherent thought, and I stand by it. Whatever had nearly killed me had at least been polite enough to leave me in a bed that felt like it had studied my spine for years, and finally decided to apologize on behalf of gravity. I kept my eyes closed a little longer, mostly because I was afraid of what would be waiting when I opened them. Battlefield, afterlife, hospital with a bill large enough to finish the job the explosion had started. The air hummed softly. Not a machine hum, more like a choir that had agreed to whisper. I opened one eye. The ceiling above me pulsed with faint lavender light, thin veins of illumination drifting through it as if something alive moved behind it. I stared at it for a full 10 seconds before deciding that if this was death, it had impressive interior design. Then I turned my head. She was sitting beside me. For a terrifying half-second, I thought my brain had conjured her from memory. The woman from the burning corridor of that impossible ship. The one I had tackled to the ground while armored giants turned the air into plasma. She was real. She looked human in the way a perfect statue looks human, correct in all the important places but impossibly precise. Dark silver hair fell over one shoulder. Her eyes were steady, unreadable, and far too calm for someone who had recently been the center of a coup. And her ears, long, elegant, tapered past her jawline, adorned with thin metallic rings that caught the lavender light and scattered it into faint halos. They twitched just slightly when I exhaled too sharply. I blinked. "Okay," I whispered. "Either I'm concussed, dead, or I've made some very ambitious new friends." A small sound answered me, not from her. To her right sat a child, maybe 8, maybe 10, though I suspected alien royalty didn't age on my schedule. She had the same long ears, though hers were unadorned, and they angled forward in open curiosity. She held a crystalline object that floated a centimeter above her palm, rotating lazily. She stared at me as if I were the exhibit. "Is he supposed to make that noise?" she asked. Her voice was clear. The words were perfect English. I froze. "I make several noises," I said. "You'll need to be more specific." The child tilted her head. "The confused one." "That's standard issue for humans." The woman's lips curved. It wasn't a full smile, but it was dangerously close. Memory struck like a delayed detonation. The corridor, the alarms, her guards cut down one by one. The figures in black exosuits advancing. Someone shouting in a language I didn't understand but whose intent was universal. I had seen her pinned against the railing, weapon empty. I had run. I don't remember deciding to. I just remember thinking she's going to die and my body disagreeing with that outcome. There had been heat, light, the sensation of my shoulder tearing, her weight against me as I forced her down behind a fractured bulkhead. Then nothing. I tried to sit up. The bed disagreed. It flowed upward beneath me, supporting my back before I could strain anything. Warmth spread along my ribs, not unpleasant, just firm, like invisible hands reminding me not to be heroic twice in 1 week. "Easy," she said. Her voice was low, composed, threaded with something that made my pulse stumble. Authority, yes, but beneath it, concern. "I've been easy all my life," I muttered. "It's vastly overrated." The child leaned closer. The crystal in her hand projected a thin lattice of light that passed over my chest. Symbols flickered in the air. I recognized none of them. "He is regenerating at optimal parameters," she announced. "Great," I said. "I always wanted to be optimal." The woman studied me carefully. "You understand us." I glanced between them. "You're speaking English." "We are not." I paused. "That seems rude." The child laughed. The sound was bright, disarming. The crystal shifted color as if amused. "A neural interface," the woman explained, touching a slender band at her own temple. "It translates intent. You are hearing meaning, not language." "So if you insult me," I said, "it'll come through politely." Her ears tilted back slightly. "We do not insult those who save our lives." Ah, there it was. The air felt heavier. "You're welcome," I said quickly, because sincerity makes me itch. "Next time, though, maybe avoid hallways filled with hostile super soldiers." The child's eyes widened. "You charged them." "Yes," I said. "Terrible decision, 0 stars. Would not recommend." The woman's gaze did not waver. "You were unarmed." I was extremely armed, with optimism. Another almost smile. It did something unfair to the room. Silence settled, but it wasn't empty. Outside the curved wall behind them, shapes drifted in the distance, structures suspended in midair, platforms connected by threads of light. 2 suns hung low on the horizon, locked in an elegant orbital dance. I swallowed. "Where," I asked carefully, "is here?" She held my gaze. You are on Etherin, capital world of the Telari sovereignty. That sounded important, uncomfortably important, and you are. The child straightened immediately. She is. The woman raised a hand. The girl fell silent, though her ears quivered with barely contained pride. I am Sarilith, the woman said. The name carried weight even through the translation. Something clicked into place. The soldiers in the corridor hadn't been random attackers. The scale of the ship, the desperation in their advance. You're not just someone, I said slowly. No, she replied. The child could not contain herself any longer. She is the queen. Of course she was. I lay back against the living bed and stared at the breathing ceiling. I saved a queen, I murmured. That feels like paperwork. The child giggled. The queen, Sarilith, watched me as if trying to understand a species that runs toward gunfire and then complains about administrative inconvenience. You stayed beside me, she said quietly. The memory sharpened. Her weight in my arms, the way she had looked at me, not as a weapon, not as a stranger, but as something unexpected. You would have done the same, I said. She did not answer. Her ears lowered just slightly. The bed hummed again, adjusting the last ache from my shoulder. The child leaned in close, studying my face with open fascination. Humans are fragile, she declared. Very, I agreed. We break emotionally at weddings. She frowned. What is a wedding? Extremely dangerous ceremony involving cake. Her eyes widened with appropriate alarm. Sarilith exhaled softly. It might have been a laugh. Outside, one of the distant structures shifted, light rippling across its surface like a living thing stretching awake. I had woken slowly, and beside me sat an alien queen and her daughter, watching me not as a curiosity, not as a threat, but as if I mattered. That was far more terrifying than the soldiers had ever been. Recovery, it turns out, is less about rest and more about surrendering your dignity to technology that thinks it knows better than you. The bed has opinions. Every time I try to shift without permission, it firms up under my ribs like a disappointed gym instructor. A warm current moves through it, stitching together muscles I'm fairly certain I tore in ways the human manual does not recommend. I can walk, I insist for the third time. You can fall, Sarilith replies. Her voice is calm, which somehow makes it worse. Across the chamber, her daughter sits cross-legged in midair, not metaphorically. The floor declined to participate, so gravity seems to have compromised. She rotates slowly while studying a hovering lattice of symbols. You required 12 micro-reconstructions of your skeletal matrix, she says without looking at me. I don't even know what that means, I answer. It means, she continues, you attempted to intercept a plasma lance with your shoulder. In my defense, it looked negotiable. Sarilith's ears angle slightly back. I've learned this means she is either amused or resisting the urge to declare me a protected species. The chamber wall dissolves at her gesture. Not dramatically, no thunder, no sparks. It simply stops pretending to be solid. Beyond it, Etherin unfolds in layers of suspended architecture and flowing light. Platforms drift on invisible currents. Towers spiral upward, connected by bridges that shimmer as if woven from sunbeams. Ships pass overhead without engines. They bend space in small, polite distortions and reappear elsewhere like thoughts changing their minds. I swing my legs off the bed. It immediately rises to block me. Traitor, I mutter. It is calibrated to preserve you, Sarilith says. It's overqualified. Her daughter drops lightly to the floor, gravity apparently reinstated for dramatic effect. She steps closer, her long ears angled forward in concentration. You are impatient, she declares. Humans are very good at impatience. It's one of our core technologies. She tilts her head. Is it weaponized? Constantly. Sarilith moves closer. The faint band of light at her temple pulses once. I feel a soft pressure behind my eyes, then clarity. My hearing sharpens. The distant hum of the city resolves into layers, energy conduits, transit lanes, voices carried through translation fields. We have adjusted your neural interface, she says. You will perceive more accurately. That sounds expensive. You have already paid. That stops me. With what? Her gaze holds mine, with trust. I look away first. Outside, a formation of sleek craft arcs across the sky. Their hulls flicker with defensive matrices. I recognize military precision even through alien aesthetics. The rebellion, I say. Sarilith's expression tightens by a fraction. Contained, not concluded. Her daughter rolls her eyes in a way so human it startles me. They believe Mother is weak. For not blowing up my planet, I ask. For not preemptively neutralizing emerging civilizations, the girl corrects. That's a strong opening move, I say. Very bold, historically unpopular. Saralith's ears dip again, that almost smile returning. Many of my counsel share your assessment. Let me guess, I complicated things. You altered probabilities. Is that Queen language for made a mess? It is Queen language for shifted the future. The words hang between us. I take a cautious step forward. The bed allows it this time, though it radiates mild disapproval. My legs hold. The chamber floor ripples faintly under my weight, adjusting to my balance. I take another step, then another. Look at that, I say. Hero survives dramatic explosion, immediately demands sightseeing. Her daughter circles me, studying the way I move. You are structurally inefficient. I've been called worse. You consume oxygen at irregular intervals. I get excited. She considers this. That is inefficient. Saralith approaches, close enough that I feel the subtle warmth of her presence. Not heat, energy, something refined and contained. When you saw me, she says quietly, you did not hesitate. I did, I reply. Internally, very dramatic debate lasted almost half a second. Her eyes search my face, as if she's trying to locate the exact moment I made the choice. You were unarmed, she repeats. I had arms. Her daughter makes a strangled sound that might be laughter. A pulse moves through the city outside. For a brief instant, the sky fractures into geometric patterns, defensive grid recalibration. My interface translates distant communications automatically, fleet repositioning, border stabilization, political maneuvering wrapped in elegant phrasing. They'll come again, I say. Yes, Saralith answers, and Earth. She studies the twin suns for a moment before speaking. Your world remains unaware. It will remain so until I determine the safest course. That's generous. It is strategic. I nod fair. Her daughter steps between us suddenly. If Earth is to be considered, she announces, I require data. On what, I ask carefully. Desserts. Saralith closes her eyes briefly. You promised me cake, the girl says, pointing at me as if addressing a war criminal. It's not legally binding, I protest. I was under medical supervision. You introduced it as ceremonial. It kind of is. She turns to her mother. We must investigate this ritual. Saralith's composure fractures just slightly. We are discussing interstellar stability. And Cake, her daughter insists. I raise a hand. In her defense, Cake has resolved many human conflicts. That cannot be accurate, Saralith says. It absolutely is not, I admit. But it helps. The tension in the room eases just enough to breathe. I walk to the edge of the chamber where the wall had dissolved. A transparent field hums faintly, separating us from open sky. This place, I say softly, it's beautiful. Saralith joins me. It was nearly destroyed. By your own people. Yes, I glance at her. That has to hurt. It clarifies. Clarifies what? Who stands beside you when the sky burns? Her hand rests lightly on the barrier. For a moment I consider placing mine over it. I don't. Not yet. Behind us, her daughter resumes floating, projecting a rotating hologram of Earth above her palm. Continents spin slowly, blue and green and unaware. They are loud, she observes. Very. They argue constantly. Tradition. She studies the projection, ears flicking thoughtfully. I like them. Saralith looks at me then. Not as a queen evaluating an asset, not as a ruler calculating alliances, as a woman measuring risk. You have placed yourself at the center of a conflict older than your species' flight, she says. I know. You may not return unchanged. I wasn't that impressive to begin with. Her gaze softens. You are incorrect. The defensive grid outside stabilizes. The sky smooths. For now, the city breathes again. I stand between a queen who commands stars and a child who demands cake as diplomatic leverage. And somehow, against all logic, I feel exactly where I'm supposed to be. The rebellion ends without fireworks. That disappoints me slightly. I had expected something cinematic, fleets colliding, speeches echoing through the void, a dramatic countdown that required me to press a glowing button at the last possible second. Instead, it ends with a transmission. Saralith stands before a projection field that spans the entire council chamber. I stand at her right, not behind her, not hidden, at her right. The daughter, who has decided I am now legally obligated to survive forever, floats on her left, arms folded in a posture she claims is intimidating. Across the projection, the rebel admirals appear in fractured panes of light. Their armor is severe, their expressions more so. You endanger the sovereignty, one of them declares. You prioritize a primitive species over our security. I clear my throat. Several armored heads turn toward me. This primitive species can hear you, I say, just so we're all calibrated. Sarilith's ear flicks, a warning or amusement. You would have annihilated Earth, she says evenly. Not because it threatened us, but because it might one day. Prevention is strength, another admiral insists. Fear is not strength, she replies. Silence spreads across the projection. I used to think leadership meant being the loudest voice in the room, or the strongest, or the one with the best contingency plan. Watching her now, I realize it is none of those things. It is standing still when everyone else wants to lunge. You misjudge humanity, Sarilith continues. They are volatile, divided, frequently irrational. Hey, I mutter, her daughter elbows me in midair. But, Sarilith says, and her voice sharpens, they are capable of choosing compassion over survival. The chamber stills. He did, she adds. Every projection pane turns toward me again. This time I don't joke. I didn't do anything special, I say. I saw someone about to die, that was enough. That is precisely the anomaly, one admiral replies. I shrug. Then maybe your models need updating. A faint ripple moves through the projection. Data streams, probability recalculations. I feel the neural interface hum softly against my thoughts. Somewhere deep in their vast predictive systems, a new variable is being inserted. Human, unpredictable, risk factor, inconveniently moral. Sarilith steps forward. I will not rule through extermination, she says. Those who cannot accept this may depart the sovereignty. You will not, however, threat my people or Earth again. The threat is quiet, it does not need volume. Long seconds pass. One by one the projection panes dim. Some vanish entirely, others flicker then stabilize, loyalty reasserted. The admiral who spoke first inclines his head by a fraction. We withdraw, he says. The transmission ends. No explosion, no final strike, just absence. I release a breath I didn't know I was holding. That was it, I ask. For now, Sarilith replies. Her daughter spins once in midair. Mother one without vaporizing anyone, that is statistically rare. I feel underutilized, I admit. No glowing buttons, not even a lever. Sarilith turns to me fully. There is one matter remaining. That sounds ominous. I straighten instinctively. The Alliance, she says. Outside the chamber, the twin suns dip lower. Across orbit, Telari fleets reposition, not for war, but for escort formation. A corridor of ships aligns toward a single point in space. Earth. You intend to announce yourselves, I say. Yes. That's going to cause some emails. Her daughter descends until she is eye level with me. You will accompany us. It isn't a question. I think about the man who woke in a breathing room and tried to argue with a bed. I think about the explosion, the corridor, the choice. I was an engineer, I say slowly. I fixed satellites, occasionally microwaves. And now, Sarilith asks, I meet her eyes. Now I guess I build bridges. The words feel steady. True, she steps closer, close enough that the neural field between us hums softly, translating not language but intent. You could return, she says. Forget this. Could I? Yes. I consider it, the quiet apartment, the predictable sky. News cycles arguing about things that once felt enormous. Then I look at her, at the faint tremor she tries to hide in her hand. I don't think I fit there anymore, I say gently. Not alone. Her ears lower slightly, color deepening at the tips. Her daughter beams. Excellent, we are keeping him. I appreciate being consulted, I reply. The fleet begins to move. Space bends ahead of us, not torn but folded with surgical precision. A stable corridor forms, an invitation rather than an invasion. On screens across Earth, telescopes will soon register impossible readings. Governments will scramble, scientists will forget to breathe, and I will stand between them and a queen who chose not to destroy them. Are you afraid? Sarilith asks quietly. Yes, I say, but I was afraid in that corridor too. And yet you moved. Yeah, I exhale. Turns out fear isn't a stop sign, it's more of a suggestion. Her hand finds mine. This time I don't hesitate. The contact is simple, warm, real. No explosion follows, no alarms. Just the steady hum of a civilization choosing a different future. Her daughter floats ahead of us, projecting a hologram of Earth wrapped in Telari light. I will require cake upon arrival, she announces, for diplomacy. I laugh. We'll negotiate. The corridor stabilizes. The fleet advances. I once thought loving something meant holding it close and protecting it from everything. Now I understand it can also mean standing beside it while it faces the universe. The man who woke slowly is gone. In his place stands someone who knows that one choice, one stubborn, reckless act of compassion, can tilt empires. As the stars bend and our two worlds prepare to meet, I squeeze her hand gently. Let's go make history, I say, and together we do.